With the whole crypto market cap at all-time highs today, why is Ethereum not taking off as we thought it would, and Litecoin still very, very undervalued in my opinion? In today's episode, we're going to look at both Ethereum and Litecoin, as well as some up-to-date Ethereum news and Litecoin news, which is going to prove why both of these two cryptocurrencies are going to see a huge explosion in April against Bitcoin. Guys, hello and welcome to the House of Crypto. I make videos about Ethereum, Litecoin, as well as Bitcoin and other altcoins. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you want to be kept up to date with all of the latest happening in the cryptocurrency market as it happens. So first of all, I've already mentioned it over here on Cointelegraph. The total crypto market capitalization posts a new all-time high at $1.9 trillion. Obviously, that's due to kind of Bitcoin as well as the rest of the crypto market having a bit of a pump recently. But I want you to consider at the moment that Bitcoin has a market cap of around $1.2 trillion. Okay, so that's $700 billion in the rest of cryptocurrency, which might seem like a large amount of money, and it is quite a large amount of money. But in terms of the crypto space and in terms of where we can go in the future, there's still a huge amount of room to move. And I think in April that both Ethereum and Litecoin are going to be making the biggest moves. Coming over to our first piece of Ethereum news today then. Mark Cuban, one of the guys from Shark Tank, a well-renowned entrepreneur, one of the richest men in America, owns 30% ETH because it's close to a true currency. So what does he mean by that? So people talked before about Bitcoin, and many people told us that Bitcoin couldn't be used as a currency due to its transaction speed being way too low, being around 8 transactions per second, compared with the likes of Visa and MasterCard that can do around 8,000 transactions per second. So, people soon realized that Bitcoin actually wasn't really suitable as a currency. So he compared Ethereum smart contracts to the internet booms of the late 1990s. And many people have said recently that the whole cryptocurrency market has the level of uptake that the internet did back in 1997. As we think how many people have now got on the internet and how it's progressed forward, potentially in 23, 24 years time, then everyone could be involved in crypto in some way or another. He goes on to say that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are better alternatives to gold, and it's taking money away from gold, and it's going to continue. Gold at the moment has a market cap of around $4 trillion. So obviously, moving towards that sort of level, you could see maybe a 4 or 5x from Bitcoin, and then the rest of the sort of crypto market moving with it. And it's a big change of thought because, he said back in 2019 that he would rather have bananas since there was a true value. But so obviously he's had his mind changed. A lot of these big guys sort of make these statements because they don't tend to necessarily know about these kind of things. We kind of think that, as really well-off, wealthy people, that they kind of know everything. But, they've got a lot on their plate. They're pretty busy guys. They don't have all the time in the world to be reading about sort of new projects, etc. until someone puts it in front of them and breaks it down and explains exactly what something is. Okay, so looking here at Glassnode, we got the Ethereum number of active addresses. So for the third time, we're obviously approaching the $2,000 level, having hit $2,000 earlier today and sort of sitting slightly below it at the moment around 1995. But the number of addresses that are currently holding it, these are starting to move up and continually. If we look, although we've had these big spikes, the general pattern, if we look at the lower level, is rising. Okay, so as we can see, we might continue to have these kind of drops back down, but every time we're putting in higher lows. Yeah, so a lot of people are kind of getting in, maybe getting scared out as prices kind of, as we know, crypto is very volatile and it can scare people off. However, the general consensus and the general move is in an upwards direction, which is a very healthy thing to see. So without further ado then, let's jump into the Ethereum USD chart to see where we are at. So as I drew your attention to yesterday when we were sort of down this level, we had a breakout from this triangle level, which usually tends to break out around 31% from where it does break out. So obviously at the moment we're not even halfway there, we're around 11%, so almost a third of the way typically to that target. So where would a 30% breakout take us to? As we can see, if we come all the way up, 30% would be sitting around the 2,364 level. And that's obviously from that particular pattern, but there's obviously a much bigger pattern to be paying attention to. And I want to just draw your attention to this other sort of this line that's coming across here, and this is ascending triangle. And as you can see, yesterday we had a bit of a struggle to get through this level at around the $1960, and we broke through it, and we've kind of come out And although we're being very slow, so why are we being very slow at the moment? Depending on where you are in the world, obviously in America, Europe, etc., it's the Easter weekend, so many of the big corporations, banks, etc., are on holiday. Many people are probably off doing things with their family and not necessarily looking at computers and trading, etc. So, the whole trading volume will tend to drop when things like this happen. And over in China as well, there's a sort of a long festival weekend as well. So perhaps, we're not going to see any significant moves until Tuesday. Many people on YouTube telling me that in the next sort of 3 days, we're going to hit $2,500 or more. In my opinion, I don't think that's necessarily likely because of the lack of trading volume. I could be wrong. Obviously, I think we are going to continue on the upside once we firmly break above this $2,000 level and hold above that $2,000 levels. But expect to see perhaps a bit of a sideways action, and that's fine as long as we can stick above this 1960 level. Zooming out to the daily, you can still see that we're in this huge ascending fan pattern. We've also got this big double bottom. Okay, so which could see us break as we did yesterday. Let's just find the price target that I assume will take us to around the top of the fan level. Currently, so we're looking at 2,629. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to come all the way up to test this top level here, but I think the way the sentiment's going, that could well happen. And what I want to show you, which is the key point of today's video, is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, which has been doing something very interesting. So we've got this triangle pattern, which, as you can see, a couple of days ago we broke out, and we've confirmed having a little bit of a slow day today, as to be expected given all the holidays. And we might see, as we typically do, a bit of a retrace down before coming back up and confirming that as a breakout. Coming out to look at that on the weekly then, at the moment we've got an Ethereum at 3.3% of a Bitcoin, but theoretically we should continue up to this line here. Now if we continue up to this line here, and say we were to come up and hit it around here, that would take us about 5.2% of a Bitcoin, 5% of a Bitcoin, okay? At the moment, Bitcoin roughly being $60,000, 5% of that being $3,000. As many people have talked about, $3,000 in April could potentially be on the cards, but this is the weekly, and in the past we have had big weekly moves on this chart, but anticipating that Bitcoin is probably going to be moving as well, it could take a little longer for this to play out, but that doesn't necessarily matter. If Bitcoin's going up and Ethereum is going up against Bitcoin, then we're obviously in a very good situation. Okay, so Litecoin has been fairly quiet. Not so many people have been talking about it. There's a bit of a rumor going around that there might be a velvet fork where they would join up with Cardano network. However, that's also sort of seemingly gone a bit quiet, perhaps since Cardano has obviously rallied and gained a lot of strength, and maybe the main aim of that would have been to raise sort of funds for Cardano project. However, Litecoin at the moment is still, in my opinion, very undervalued. While the others in this bull cycle have already hit their all-time highs. If we come out to the monthly, if we come out to the weekly, you can see that all the way back in 2017 came up to $370, and we're still well below that at the moment. This big W pattern, and in terms of where the W pattern breakout would take us to, then we're still way below that. Okay, so that would be at $273. Okay, so what, a 35%, 36% rise from the current price. I want you to remember that number, because also what's significant is this pattern that we are sat in here, and this could well break out in the coming days. So as I mentioned earlier, these patterns tend to break out when they break out to the upside with around a 31% rise from the breakout. So if it was to break out from here and we come up, let's say 31%, we notice the price is $277. That comes in line with pretty much where the bottom of the W up to this point is. As we can see, we're approaching kind of being overbought, but still on the weekly, we're not overbought at the moment. Whereas if you look at Bitcoin and Ethereum on the weekly, they do look kind of a bit overbought on the RSIs. And it doesn't mean that they're in danger, but it's always something to consider when we approach being quite overbought and there's a lot of hype, etc. in the markets. Then it's always time to be sort of wary of all this excitement. When everyone's planning for the future and getting really excited, that's times when we should be cautious, and when everyone's fearful and selling off, that's when we want to be looking to buy. So I'm not telling you to go and sell it. In my opinion, they're both going to have a good run coming up. Guys, let me know below what your targets for both Ethereum and Litecoin are. If you enjoyed today's content, then make sure you hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm and help me get this content to more people. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the content, then please hit that subscribe button. If you don't enjoy the content in the future, you can always unsubscribe very easily. But thanks very much, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.